Welcome to Purple and Gold Talk. I'm Tiger Joker. Let's get started. So you think about it. LSU baseball has been around since 1983. That's 133 years of baseball. And a storied program, 8 national championships, many All-Americans, all-time greats for the program. We're talking about people like Eddie Furnace. We're talking Brad Cressy, Jared Jones, Trey McClure, Dylan Cruz. And that's just the top 5 of LSU all-time home runs. That's not including the likes of Brandon Larson, who has 40 home runs in a single season, which is all-time record at LSU. And until yesterday, the record for most home runs in a game was 3. Eddie Furnace did it 3 times. Brad Cressy did it twice. Jared Jones did it. Even earlier this year, Jake Brown did it. And he did that against Sacramento State earlier on in the year. And then Sunday comes along. And
ropes this one well. Right field's going to send Chapman back at the wall, at the track. He leaps. It's gone. Aaron Beatty already 1 home run on the day. Wastes no time. A second. Either of these last 2 as Aaron Beatty. He's already got 2 home runs today. Make it a 3rd. And he hits another one. This one's deep. It's way back. It's a 4th homer for Aaron Beatty. A grand slam.
And before we go any further, can you just tell me how much that home run was in the 12th when the right fielder don't even move? I don't even think he took a step in either direction. What a day by Cade Aaron Beatty. Submit his name into the record book at LSU, the powerhouse, the greatest baseball program in America, to hit not only 3 in a game, but a 4th in the 12th inning. That's a grand slam to put the Tigers up on top big. Unbelievable. Now, I've seen some magic performances by being an LSU fan. I've seen a Trey Morgan cycle in a midweek game. I've seen Cade Anderson game 1 College World Series shutout performance. Many things. I've seen Jared Jones walk it off against Tennessee at 1:00 in the morning. Cade Aaron Beatty, 4 home runs in a game. Best performance I've seen. Not only was it 4 home runs, but it was 4 home runs when you needed them the most. Tigers got down big, 5-0 yesterday in the rubber match against Tennessee, and just clawed their way back, led by Cade Aaron Beatty, and then 4 home runs along with teammates. The Tigers would hit 7 home runs on Sunday. You hit 7 home runs, and Tennessee scored 6 runs. We talked about it on the show last week, that the launching pad, and it absolutely was. The Tigers would hit 11 home runs on the weekend, and pretty much all the Tigers' runs were scored by home runs, except for I think maybe 2, the one on Saturday and then the tying run on Sunday in the 9th. Can the Tigers keep it up? Absolutely. Do you want to live that way by relying on the home run? Not really, but I mean, if that's what you got to do, you got to do. You'd like to string together pitches. You like to get the timely base hit when needed and not count on the home run, not count on getting down 5-0 and having to claw your way back. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it the last 4 victories. The Tigers have got down early and come back. And we talked about it last week that, you did it against Kentucky and their Sunday bullpen, which wasn't much left. You did it against Southern, which doesn't really have pitching. But now you've actually done it against Tennessee on Friday night with one of their best relievers on the mound. Now, don't get me wrong, he walked the first three and then got pulled, and Derek Curriell hit a home run grand slam off of another reliever, which was also one of their better relievers. So, your last four victories, you've been down 7-0 to Kentucky. You've been down 6-1 to Southern. You were down 4-1 to Tennessee, and then you were down 5-0 to Tennessee, and come back to win. And not only win, but some impressive wins at that. So we'll get into it. We'll get into the weekend recap. Tigers take the series 2-1, even their record in the SEC at 6-6, which is big heading into Oxford next week. Going into Oxford with a 500 record, or going into Oxford down a game in the SEC, makes the world of difference. You go into Oxford and take the series, now you're above 500. If you went into Oxford losing to Tennessee on Sunday, then just winning the series gets you back to 500. So that game 3 win and taking the series is huge. So we'll get into it. We'll get into Friday night game. Again, slow start by the Tigers. You would get up 1-0 on a Jake Brown home run, and then get down 4-1. Casey Evans pitched amazing. He did leave one ball up that was hit for a home run. The other one was just a great swing put together by Tennessee. So you were down 4-1. And at the middle of the game, you were getting shut down. I think Tennessee retired like 14 in a row. So going into the 8th, you're down 4-1. And that's when the starting pitcher would leave the game. I think he threw like 92 pitches. I expected him to come back out for the 8th, but when he didn't, it gave you a glimpse of hope because you wasn't doing nothing against him before that. Nothing. The solo home run by Jake Brown earlier in the game, he'd been shutting you down the whole time. You had your chances. You just couldn't put together nothing against him. So the Tigers in the 8th would get 3 walks to start the 8th. Bases loaded, nobody out, down 4-1. And I'm pretty sure Jake Brown up to bat. Jake Brown would hit a line drive, which when it was hit, I'm not going to lie, I thought it was a gap shot. And then the camera turns, and it's just a little light line drive to shortstop. And it's, Omar Cerna would strike out against the reliever. So you have bases loaded, 2 outs, looking not to squander another opportunity. And Derek Curiel would put a swing on the ball. When it left the bat, I'm not going to lie, it looked like a pop-up to left field. And then I seen Curiel's reaction. Curiel doesn't sit and watch a ball much, but he kind of watched this one. And I thought, maybe we have a chance. Pans to the outfield. Left fielder goes back. He goes back. He gets to the wall. The ball is going. Tigers up 5-4. And the comeback happens again. Seth Dardar would follow that up with a solo home run to put you up 6-4. Chris Stanfield will give you a solo home run in the top of the 9th, which would come back to, be a very good insurance run because Tennessee would get a home run in the 9th to cut the lead to 2. But that extra run in the 9th kind of put that little bit of cushion that you needed. Casey Evans did get the start. Like I said, he went 5 2/3, 6 hits, 2 of which were home runs. He struck out 6, only walked 2. Pretty good performance by Casey Evans. It's not his big strikeout. He did have 6. He gave up 2 home runs, which is only his second and third home run of his career at LSU. Santiago Garcia would come in later in the game in a bases loaded situation, walk in a run to make it 4-1. and would follow that up with a strikeout to get you out of the seventh, which is big. You could have gave up more runs there, and you'd have had a bigger hill to climb. But he got the strikeout when needed to bring you to the eighth, 4-1, in which the Tigers would take the lead in the eighth and go on to win the game. So Santiago Garcia comes in, faces two batters, and gets the win. Devin Sharon would come in and get the save, going 2 innings. He did give up 2 hits. He gave up 1 solo home run in the ninth. The Tigers had 7 runs on the day, 6 hits. They committed no errors, which is a big thing for LSU, especially as we look forward to the other 2 games of this weekend. The Tigers were led at the plate by Derek Curiel, going 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs. Jake Brown, Seth Dardar, and Chris Stanfield would each add a home run and RBI on the day. Tigers win game 1 of the series. Going into Saturday, things are looking good. But they were looking good before the game, not too much after. So game 2 of the series, nothing really went right for the Tigers all day. You give up 5 runs, and only none of them were earned. I'm sorry, you gave up 4 runs. You do lose the game 4-1. Again, 4 runs, none of them earned. In the first inning, you had a big chance to get out of the first inning with no runs. Ball hit the first base, gets underneath the legs of Zach York. 2-run score. Tigers down 2-0 early. You would scratch together a run early on to make it in the second inning to make it 2-1. Tennessee would go on to score 2 more runs to make it 4-1, and the Tigers didn't do nothing the rest of the game. Shut out for the rest of the game. Big shout out to Tennessee's reliever, freshman Cam Appenzeller. He would come in and just shut you down. We talked about him on the show Tuesday, talking about he would be a big piece to this Tennessee bullpen, and you were going to see him, and he showed out. He went 5 innings. He only allowed 1 hit, and he retired the last 15 batters of the game with 6 strikeouts. Tigers just couldn't do anything off of him. On the day, he only had 5 hits. I think Derek Curiel went 2 for 4 on the day. Kason Evans, William Schmidt really didn't pitch bad. 5 2/3. He did give up 4 runs, which only 2 are earned. Does take the loss. You also got 2 pitching performances from Cooper Williams and Marco Paez. Both of them scoreless outings. Kind of a bright side for the game when you're looking for something. Not much else you can really be proud of on game 2. But them scoreless innings is something that you're going to need later on down the line, especially Cooper Williams. I see Cooper Williams as being a big part of this bullpen. He was looked at in the beginning of the season as being a major role in this bullpen and started out really slow. But as the seasons go on, he's kind of found it. He's put it together. He's had a couple of good outings back to back. And he's getting up there to someone you can rely on in the bullpen. He's not in your top 4, but he's up there. He's maybe your second to third lefty right now. I still believe Garcia is number 1. You got Ethan Plog that's up there, and Cooper Williams. LSU has relied on Danny Lockemeyer a lot lately to face that lefty in the lineup somewhere, get you out of a jam when needed. So other people are starting to step up in this bullpen, and you're going to need it. And that takes us to game 3. The Tigers got down 5-0 early. Again, defense let you down. Another error by Zach York. would allow the next runner to score on a sac fly to the outfield, which would have ended the inning. And on that play, a play at the plate, Omar Cerna gets hit by the runner coming in, laid out, hit in the head, would leave the game, concussion protocol. It would be later reported that he did not have a concussion, but the trainer believed that he didn't need to return to the game, which would put Eddie Yaman behind the plate in a critical role, one that he hasn't seen all year, but he stepped up in a big way. That's one thing about when you're DH and Aaron Beatty and Cerna goes down, you have no choice but to go to Yaman, because if you put Beatty in the catch, then you lose your DH. And your pitcher would have to bat or pitch hit for your pitcher in that situation. The Tigers, like I said, would get down 5-0. So you get the error by York, which allows, with one out, the next batter flies to right field. Jake Brown makes a catch up against the net, fires home, throws up the line. Cerna gets hurt, run scores. If Zach York makes that play at first, the catch by Jake Brown ends the inning. So now it's 1-0 Tennessee. Zach Cowan would come in after a great performance by Grant Fontenot. Don't let that go to waste. Grant Fontenot started this game, got you to 2 scoreless innings. Should have been out of 3 if it wasn't for the errors. But Zach Cowan would come in. He would get the ground ball to second base to get out the inning. But the first error of the year by Stephen Milam, throwing error. Could it have been caught? Maybe, but it's still an error on Milam. He didn't put the ball where it needed to be. Made it a tough catch. Next batter comes up, grand slam in a little bitty ballpark. I think it went 380 to dead center as a grand slam. At Alex Box, that's not even on the warning track. So small field. We talked about it on the podcast Tuesday. We also talked about it on the rundown on Friday night, and Paul's talked about it on Walk It Off. Solo home runs don't beat you, but with runners on by error, by walks, by mental errors, and then a home run, that's what beats you. Tigers got down 5-0 after actually 3 errors, because I believe they gave Jake Brown an error on the throw, which it was up the line. The run scored. He might have been out if the throw was good. I might be wrong. I think they gave him an error on it. I could be wrong. So the Tigers are down 5-0 and would slowly start coming back. All led by a solo home run by Cade Aaron Beatty. And we did say that solo home runs won't beat you. And if you look at it, they really didn't. The Tigers would hit 4 solo home runs to bring the score back to 5-4. That would be Cade Aaron Beatty with his second home run of the game, John Pearson with a solo home run, and Seth Dardar with a solo home run back to back to back to pull the score to 5-4. The score would stay that way all the way to the 9th when the Tigers would make the comeback. Mason Braun would pitch hit for Zach York. In my opinion, great call. Not only has York been struggling in the field, he also been struggling at the plate. And coming from me, if you know anything about me, if you follow me in any way, you know I'm like the biggest Zach York fan. But it's time. He's struggling at the plate. He's struggling in the field. It's a mental thing now. So it's, will Zach York play a big time role on this team? I believe so. Whether that's coming off the bench, starting later on down the line. But at this moment in the season, my thought is Zach York needs to sit. And we'll talk about, options for that here in a little bit. So you go to the 9th. Mason Braun leads off with a base hit. The Tigers would get the bases loaded. I'm sorry. They would get 2 on, Cade Aaron Beatty at the plate. and one of the worst strike three calls I have ever seen. Now, different angles show that it could be a little bit closer than the TV made it look, but it was bad. When a catcher catches the ball at the ground, when you see Jay Johnson's reaction to the pitch, tells you everything you need to know. Jay doesn't just argue to argue. Jay Johnson doesn't get mad for many reasons. But when he seen that strike three call and came running out the dugout, um, and he had every right to. He had every right to say whatever he needed to say to that umpire at that time. And he got his money worth. Didn't take him long, but he got thrown right away. And Jay knew that. Jay knew by arguing that balls and strike call that he was going to get ejected. And I truly believe that he did it at the right time. He's talked about it many times that if he gets ejected from a game, it's usually for a reason, for a spark, for, try to pump his team up or something like that. He's not just going to get tossed for no reason. So, and if you go back and watch the broadcast, I didn't see this, but Zach Nunez would go deep dive, pointed it out. If you can, I don't know what you rather watch. You rather watch Jay's reaction, or if you can see Chris Stanfield on the on deck circle, the facial expression on his face as Jay saying whatever he needs to say in this situation tells you everything you need to know. If you haven't seen it, please go back and look at it and just watch his reaction. So at that point, matter of fact, that is the only time Carey Beatty was retired on the day, was on a bogus strike three call. That's the only way they can get him out. The Tigers would load the bases with 2 outs, and Jake Brown would hit one up the middle, which the second baseman was playing deep into the second base position, had the range behind second base, kind of flipped the ball to second. Wasn't in time. Stanfield at first, good runner, gets there. So shortstop didn't catch the ball anyway. Jake Brown was given a hit on the play and an RBI, tie the game. Tigers would go into extras, where in the 11th, Cade Ambrose would hit his third solo home run of the game. And again, momentum's high. Tigers are pumped. The crowd that is there for LSU is rowdy. But Tennessee would come back and score a run in the bottom of the 11th on a sacrifice fly, which came within feet of being a walk-off home run. When they left the bat, I was like, no way. Curiel caught it up against the wall, run scores, go to the 12th, tied up. In the 12th, Stephen Milam would get an infield hit to take the lead for the Tigers, 7-6, which would follow up Cade Beatty, 4th home run of the game, the grand slam. We told you, solo home runs don't beat you. But bases loaded, grand slam, put the Tigers up 5, and that's what beat you. And the Tigers would just keep adding on. You get a base hit by Yaman to score Jake Brown. You would get a triple by Curiel to score a run. You would get a 2-run homer by Monster Milam to put the Tigers up 16-6, scoring 10 runs in the 12th. I don't know about you, but I've never seen a team lose by 10 in extra innings. Can we say they got 10-run ruled in extra innings? I mean, not technically, but the score says they did. The Tigers found the hitting when needed. The Tigers put together an inning that could possibly turn this season around. Jay getting tossed and then coming back and putting that offensive performance together could be exactly what this team needs. I'm not saying it's going to fix everything. I'm not saying that we're gonna go on a tear and sweep Ole Miss and win the SEC. Not what I'm saying. But the momentum that you get from putting up 10 in the 12, 7 home runs on the game, having a teammate hit 4 home runs, you got to feel special. And they do. Pitching on the day, like I said, Grant Fontenot went 2 2 2/3, looked really, really good. I like the decision by Jay to start Grant. Everybody wanted either Cowan. It was announced earlier in the week that Guidry would be the starter. I never truly thought Guidry would start in the beginning. Now, once you got into Friday and Saturday, he wasn't used. My thought it was that Jay would go to Guidry to start the game. Um, Preferably, I would have wanted to see Cowan, but when it was announced that Grant Fontenot was the starter, I thought about it and I was like, this really is a pretty good move because Grant Fontenot is a fastball pitcher, hard fastballs. Um, and you follow it up with someone like Zach Cowan, the changeup fits perfect. Um, so Grant Fontenot will go 2 2/3. He would give up 3 runs, none of them earned. Zach Cowan would come in and go 4 innings. He would also give up 2 runs, neither one of them earned. The Tigers only gave up 1 earned run on the day. Gavin Guidry would come in and go 5 1/3. Only 2 hits and 1 run. He would give up the only earned run of the game, and that was all the way in the 11th inning. Overall, great pitching performance by the Tigers. Big 16-6 victory. Big series win, 2-1. Which I said brings you back to 500 in the SEC, which is a huge thing. So now you travel to Oxford in another series that you can win. Now you're going to face a pretty good lefty on Friday night and Hunter Elliott, which we're going to talk about in a minute as kind of what maybe I want to see. But a very winnable season, very winnable series. Ole Miss is coming off a series win against Florida. On Monday, Cade Beatty, without a doubt, shocker, I know, Cade Beatty was named SEC Co-Player of the Week. On the week, he batted .600 with 4 home runs and 8 RBIs. That's back-to-back weeks that an LSU player has had SEC Player of the Week. Seth Dardar last week with his monster performance on Sunday. And then Cade Beatty with another monster performance on Sunday. If we can keep getting that production on Sunday, we're going to win more series than we lose. We have one of the best Friday night pitchers in the SEC. He may not show it every week. He may have, control issues, but there's nobody on the mound, nobody on this team that I will want on the mound other than Casey Evans on Friday night. Right now, we have William Schmidt on Saturday until Cooper Moore comes back. And when Cooper Moore comes back, I believe they're going to throw him into that Sunday role once he gets back up to speed, once he gets back to endurance, being able to throw multiple long innings. Now we're going to get to the defense. Defense let you down 2 to 3 games, unearned runs. I don't say it lost you the game on Saturday because you lost 4-1. You had 2 unearned runs, but it was a big part of it. If we can get out of that first inning with 0 runs, it's a totally different ballgame. Like I said, big Zach York fan. I believe that he needs to sit. I believe that someone else needs a turn at first. Now, who could that be? You do have Mason Braun, who coming out of high school was listed as a first baseman. But speaking to people, reading everything, David Billiot even asked Mason Braun himself, what did you play in high school? And he straight up said he played outfield. I haven't seen Mason Braun at first. I didn't go to a lot of the fall practices. I didn't go to a lot of fall scrimmages. So I don't know if Mason Braun got any work at first, but I haven't seen him take infield at first. I haven't seen none of that. But he is an option. Um, and then that comes to your three catchers, who all, I believe, need to be in the lineup at this point. Eddie Yaman came in, great performance behind the plate on Sunday. Cade Beatty did Cade Beatty things. He's in the lineup. The question is Cerna. Now, going into this past weekend, Cerna was your starting catcher and was very, very much one of your best offensive players. Now, what does the injury do? I don't expect him to play Tuesday in the midweek game. But if he did, I could see Cerna starting at first base only because you don't want to have him back there taking the punishment as a catcher. So I could see Omar Cerna starting at first base. You can see Eddie Yaman starting at first base. Coming into LSU, his freshman and sophomore year, Eddie Yaman mostly played first base. Yes, he came in LSU as a catcher / first baseman. So he can play there. We've seen him there, I think maybe once or twice in late inning situations. So that is another option. I don't think we see Beatty at first base, but it's possible. Seth Dardar can play first base, which if you put Seth Dardar at first base, then where does that put – who you got to put at second base? I like Seth Dardar at second base. I think he fits great with Milam, but he is an option. We don't know the status of Braden Simpson. Some people have said he has a broken thumb. It was reported that he had a hurt hand. He also can play first base. But what I would like to see is either Omar Cerna or Eddie Yaman at first. And whichever one's not catching, Beatty can also catch. So it's pretty much, but the only downside of having all three catchers in the lineup at the same time is like what happened Sunday. If Cerna goes down, you can't put your DH in the catch because you lose the DH. Now, having him at first base, you can actually switch him over to catcher and bring somebody else in to play first. But that is what I want to see. I want to see all three catchers in the lineup. It doesn't really matter what position. But coming back, I don't think Omar Cerna goes straight back in the catcher. Not after a head injury, not after just on Sunday. I honestly don't even know if we see him on Tuesday. But that's your recap for the week. Like I said, we have a game on Tuesday night, 6:30, and then a big weekend series in Oxford. Tigers need to continue to build that momentum. Tigers need to continue staying hot at the bat. And just keep putting together. Can this team be a regional host? They can. Will it happen? I don't know. It all depends on how these next few weeks go. That's going to do it for me. Again, this is Purple and Gold Talk. If you follow me on X, Tiger Joker 84, there is a Purple and Gold Talk 1 on X as well. Don't post much on it, but if you want to follow, if you don't mind, give this video a like, share it, tell people about it, get people in here. The more, we're going to be coming out with more things, not just baseball. We're going to do football, it's a little basketball, things like that. So again, I thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. Give me a like, give me a share, and I look forward to our next time we get together. As always, go Tigers.